It was a few weeks ago that we talked about how refiners were no longer buying 90% silver or pure silver. The market has changed a lot since that movie came out. You may not remember this, but silver wasn't just $54 an ounce over a week and a half ago. You can see here that it closed just over that. At the moment, when I'm making this movie, it's just over 47. The market has changed a lot. And by talking to coin shops, I've learned that since the price of silver dropped recently, there has been more demand for it. Things like national coins like eagles and maples, silver rounds, and more. But 90% of you guys, things are worsening. I just got off the phone with Mike from Mid-America Coins. He has one of the biggest coin shops I know, and it's full of things worth millions of dollars. He just told me that he no longer buys 90% silver, pure silver, and other types of silver. He also told me that some distributors had stopped buying as well. Watch the movie now to learn more about that and what it means for the market. Let's start. Please do me a favor before we go. If you like these kinds of movies and want to know more about gold and silver, click here. To make sure you get the video, go down below and hit the like button. It would be really helpful. SDBullion.com is paying me to have this channel. If you're a new buyer, go to SDBullion.com/new to place your first order of gold or silver at spot price. I'm sure you remember that I just talked about this notice, but just in case, I'll go over it quickly. You can see this message. It's from Ella Metal and says right here at the bottom, I'm not going to read it all out loud. It says that starting right away, we will not be buying any more sterling scrap or junk made of 90% or 40% silver. I'm sure most of you already knew this. I even talked about it on my channel, and some other people on YouTube did too, about how refiners don't buy 90% scrap and sterling. One thing that is different now is that sellers can still move it with the wholesalers, which wasn't possible back then. It looks like a lot of wholesalers are still getting 90% silver. Mike told me today, though, that he talked to one dealer who told him they would no longer buy it from him. I think this is the one he works with the most. So, even if the other wholesalers he works with buy it from him, when will they stop? And there may come a time when coin shops buy all the silver thinking they can at least keep up with the dealers, but they can't. There is nowhere for it to go if suppliers don't buy it and customers don't come in the shop fast enough to buy it. I could go into a lot of detail about this, but I think it would be better if we called Mike from Mid-America Coins instead. That's who I'm talking about. It was clear to me today that he's not interested in buying 90% at this time. We're going to call him to find out what's going on. Coins of Mid-America, Mike is talking. Hi, this is Mike from Silver Seeker. How are things going? Okay. How are you? I'm fine. That's right, guys. Mike and I just talked before this call to make sure we were on the same page, and I knew what was going on. Mike, I still want to look into it. Before this part of the movie, I told everyone that you told me you would no longer buy 90% silver over the counter. Could you explain why that is? Anyway, I called a few of my founder companies last week to see if they were still buying. They said no, but that there are wholesalers who are getting 50 to 80% back. When I say 80%, I mean 20% back. Let me say that again. Guys who pay that much, though, are picking through it. They only want things that are fine or better. They don't want anything cheap. For those who pay $50, it doesn't matter what they get. The distributors, on the other hand, have nowhere to go with it either. I know what they're doing. They want to sell them as nice coins and put them on their website. That's right. However, you also said that some distributors were not buying at all. This did not mean that all of them were not buying. Is that real? That's true. Since I'm a wholesaler, you already know that I'm not even buying 90% silver dollars, 40% nickels, or the other way around. We're not going to buy any of that. Sterling silver. It's freezing outside right now. Okay. This is because some suppliers are paying 50 to 80% of spot, and some aren't even buying at all right now. They pretty much cut it off. So I guess my question is, I can see why shops might stop buying if a few suppliers are already not buying. What's to say that the other ones won't stop in a week? Yes, that is true. Today I found out about it, and their site isn't even up yet. They seem to be trying to get used to what's going on. That's right. That's really interesting to hear. That is something I didn't know. That wasn't something we talked about before. Okay, with the way the market is now, bigger shops like yours aren't buying 90%. Because there are so many coins on the market, do you think this will be a problem for many coin shops that they won't be able to buy 90% of them? Well, yes, because there are some local stores we no longer buy from. The same thing is being done to the people now. Okay, what do people do when they have to move 90%? They can hope for a good deal, or they'll have to wait until this freeze is over. Okay, do you think this freeze will last for a long time? It should open up in the end, right? It will open up in the end. Someone from one of the founder companies told me it might only be a week when we first talked about it. It's week 3 now. I really hope it's soon. If they could lift it, I could buy things the way I normally do, because I'd have somewhere to put them. Okay, I guess I should ask you another question because this just occurred to me, and I'm sure the watchers would also like to know it. But there are still places that will pay, say, 50%. Are you just not ready to buy it that cheap? It's possible to buy something for 40% off and then send it to them. You're not going to buy that cheap, right? People know that I buy fairly at 50%. That's not fair, in my opinion. That's why I don't want to buy it and get in trouble for getting something really cheap. Sure, that makes sense. Now let me ask you something else. How many items do you have in stock? If you don't want to give out this number, that's fine. But how much stuff do you have in 90% and sterling, etc., that you don't have anywhere to go with it right now? Really, I bought more than $1 million in the last month, but I only have about $4 million now. Wow, it's 90% in sterling, and right now, no one can buy from you. Do people in this shop not want 90% so much that you can't even move it that way? I think I've sold $100 worth of faces in the last 2 weeks. At one point, we were moving it by the bags. That doesn't help me sell it when it's coming in twice as fast, or even 100 times faster. Man, it's crazy. I wonder if this freeze with the refineries has scared people off from getting 90% silver in the first place. If you can answer that question, I'd appreciate it. That's because there's a clear change in desire for other physical precious metals, like silver eagles, rounds, and sovereigns. Many of the shops I've talked to say they've seen more demand for that type of silver, but 90% of them say the opposite. Do you go through the same thing? Okay, sure. Yes, that's right. We do? Yes. We're still moving bars and rounds, but not as quickly as we used to. We're still moving that though. That's still the stuff we buy.
Yes, it's just the 90. Sure, go ahead.
On the other hand, people should know that they will hear this from their shops when they pay $4 or $5 back. The reason for this is not that there isn't a need for it. People are still buying, but as you know, the price dropped almost $7.